Well, good morning, all. Happy Valentine's Day, Ash Wednesday. It's a big day here. And thought I'd come to you with this question of who do you love, right? Who do you love? It's Valentine's Day. Um, those of you that are married or have a sweetheart, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, those are obviously the ones we think of. Our children, our extended family. Um, but sometimes people look at Valentine's Day or really any day, and they're like, who do I love? And there's a great Queen song, "Find Somebody to Love." Give me somebody to love. There's plenty of people to love in this world. I hope you have a few, and feel free to drop them in the comments about who do you love. But number one, I think it's so important that you are able to receive and love yourself, knowing who you are, who you're uniquely created to be. And I see a lot of people in this world, unfortunately, that have what I would say no self love. I'm not talking narcissism here. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of um, conflict being able to receive who and recognize who they are, and they desperately, desperately look for the world to love them. That they desperately look externally to the world to validate who they are, and they are unable to love in a sense because they're not receiving love outside of themselves. And what I found is those folks, and even for myself, where I've been looking for my wife, for my coworkers to love me in a certain way, to show appreciation, show gratitude in a certain way, which we all are wired for. What happens is if you're a taker and you're like a sponge and seeking to take that out versus being a giver. So I bring up the question of who do you love? Meaning, are you able to come from a place of abundance? Are you able to come from a place of knowing you have enough to give, to love, to share with others? Or are you coming from a deficit where you're looking to take or extract from others? Because this is a real key distinguisher. I feel like a lot of people, I'll just speak for the men out there. For me, like if you've ever been, and it's been a long time for me being on the dating scene, but even with my wife, if I'm coming from a place of taking, it's a different experience when you come from a place of abundance and like, I get to love this person, I get to give, I get to share, versus I want to take, I need this, I want this, I have to have this kind of a thing. And so that's when I believe this idea of love gets manipulated, and we start to, you know, take from folks and try to get our needs met in an unhealthy way. So when I say, "Who do you love?" hopefully it's, you know, you have an abundance to love all types of people. And what I find is oftentimes people love people that love them back in a certain way, and they're like, "Oh, I love this person." But I would say, if that person couldn't reciprocate, if they, were unable, then incapable, do you have the reservoir? Do you have the space and the ability to love others outside of yourself? Do you have that capacity, or do you find yourself, struggling with that capacity? You're struggling with being reactive, being judgmental, uh, uh, condemning, um, self-preserving, blaming. I've talked about these things in the past, and so therefore you almost choose not to love. You choose not to put yourself out there because you've been hurt, you've been wounded by the world, which we all have. But it's about how do we show up when that happens? Do we have an abundance? Do we have a place where a reservoir where we're able to give freely, able to choose to love, to be able to show up for whoever comes into your path? Again, generally speaking, our wives, our girlfriends, our boyfriends, our husbands, that space where they love you in some form of fashion, where you feel like that reciprocation, it's easier to love that person. But the reality is, a lot of people are difficult to love. And I want to encourage you to come from a place of abundance and that you can care for those people, what I call stewarding, right? Steward your business, steward yourself so that you get the ability to love many, many people. But at first, it comes from, are you able to love yourself? Are you able to receive that truly? And for me, that comes from a relationship with God, understanding that I'm chosen, that I'm pursued, uh, uh, as the picture of a shepherd leaving the flock to go find that one lost sheep, right? That went off, and to bring that back. That's the kind of love, and in that analogy, the sheep doesn't know. The sheep is just off doing its thing. It wandered away. It doesn't even know sometimes that it's lost. Um, or even when it does know it's lost, it doesn't certainly know how to get back. And the shepherd pursues it, not because the sheep is going to give it, all this back. I mean, obviously, yeah, as a shepherd, you want to keep your flock together, and you're raising them. But the idea that you're coming from a place of abundance, and I can go and have this interaction with, you know, people that are different than me, people that are different viewpoints than me. This is really important in my world, in the way I live my life, is that I get to choose how to love and show up. Am I have been reactive in the past. I haven't shown up and loved people well because I didn't love myself as well. I didn't understand and respect and honor who I have become, and recognize I'm not far from perfect. I'm the first one to tell you I don't have it all together. However, it's recognizing and receiving and knowing where you're at, showing yourself some grace and mercy, receiving, in my opinion and my faith, God's love that is abundant and never ending, unlimited, unconditional. Now I recognize that as a human being, I am flawed. I don't I can't, as much as I'd like to love unconditionally, I know I'm not that way. I want to move toward that. I want to move to be able to love people where they're at fully. I believe I'm better at that now than I have ever in the past, but I know I can get better at that. Um, but really, who do you get to love? And I would say look around yourself today, and I would say encourage you, of course, the easy ones, like I said, husband, wife, your spouse, your children. Those are, I think, no-brainers. We understand that. But are there other people in your life that you come up across today? Your coworkers, perhaps, somebody you interact with at a coffee shop, or going to a restaurant. Many of you may be going to restaurants tonight for Valentine's Day. But who do you get to love? Each and every person that comes into your life, you actually have an opportunity to love. You actually get to show them true love and care. And what is real love? Love is loving somebody, really deep loving somebody is when they can't love you back, or they're their most unlovable. That to me is what the definition of real love is, meaning it's not how they respond to me. It's out of my abundance, my ability to share, and not necessarily, and not take. That's not a transactional. It's like I get to give, I get to share, I get to put it out there. And so I encourage you today to look, who do you get to love? Share in the comments here. Who have you got to love on? It could be saying a kind word, a text, a simple message. Think about this. There's doesn't have to be complex. Could be a little note, could be a little email, instant message. But think about how you can show love to other people today, in a being kind and considerate, particularly those that you wouldn't necessarily do that. But look at your energy and your reservoir, right? Where are you at in this? If you're like, "Oh, man, I could not, this person," I would challenge you to look at the reservoir in yourself and where you're at. Because if you truly are in abundance, then you're able to do this. There's so much more I could go on this. Honestly, I'm just thinking about different resources, and I will unload you here today. This is stuff I delve into, honestly, in my coaching program too, and understanding yourself to lead yourself and your teams, whether it's in a company or an individual. But the reality is, people follow people they know, like, trust, and it starts with you leading the way, and demonstrating that you love and you're looking after those people's best interests that are under your influence, under your sphere, if you will. So drop a comment. Let me know, who do you love? Who did you get to love today? because some of you may not be around your spouse, and you may not have a girlfriend or boyfriend. You may be disconnected from your children, but there's other people that you get to love in your life today, right? So look at that. Look at that opportunity that you have before you, and look at your energy level. And again, if you're feeling like it's off or it's not where I want it to be, then reach out to me. Let's talk. Let's see how I can maybe help you, share some tools, more resources. I can't get obviously all this in a live right now, but I wanted to encourage you this morning to think about who do you love, and then are you receiving that love, and are you coming from a place of abundance where you can actually give and show up and share for others in your life. Have an amazing Valentine's Day for you guys today, Ash Wednesday for those that are celebrating that, beginning of Lent as we go toward Easter, to great love there. um, I'm just grateful that I get to come on here and share with you guys, and appreciate that. I hope you feel the love and know that you have a resource here in David Carr, and what I've created with Steward Your Business and the Steward Yourself program. I would love to hear from you guys. And if this resonates with you, please share it. I encourage others to know that they're not alone and they have another resource here with David. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later.